us welcome to the Doralicious Show, straight from Greece, Yelena Popovic, the writer and director of Men of God, ή στα ελληνικά ο άνθρωπος του Θεού, that has been depicting the life of Nektarios of Aegina. Yelena, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
How are you doing? How's Greece?
Greece is wonderful. We had a heat wave for a few days, but now it's warm, just nicer, not as hot, but it's beautiful. I'm right on the beach and I can go and swim, so I'm not complaining.
Oh, that's really nice.
So, the woman behind Men of God.
Yes, that's me, a woman behind a man of God. The whole story, I guess I'm still processing everything. I would one day have to sit down and reflect upon the whole story because it's still, it's interesting, that actually it happened. The reason I'm saying this is because I lived in LA for 18 years, and I know how hard it is to actually get the project off the ground. And I've done some work while I was in Los Angeles, but I wasn't able to do anything as meaningful and of this caliber until I came to Greece, and not for any other reason, but by chance. Life simply brought me here. My husband is half Greek, and there were some things happening, family related. So it was unplanned, and it's almost like incredible. It's like miraculous, I must say. It goes with the film that I come to Greece without knowing what I'm doing here. And then I make a movie that ends up getting a worldwide distribution. So that is a miracle in itself. So I'm still pondering on what happened.
Yeah, and did you expect that success for this movie? When you wrote the movie, when it was in progress, did you expect that?
This is honestly, no, I believed in the story. I thought like any filmmaker and a writer and everybody who's doing this from their heart, they really believe in what they're doing. And obviously, unless you're really connected to the story, most people don't bother because it's very difficult to get these things going. And it takes many years to put them together. Sometimes even people that already have their names established, even they struggle, to get films on the big screen. And yes, I didn't expect this kind of a success, but for me, it was almost like I was so connected to the story that I believed in it. I thought it would help people. That was my main kind of focus with this story. And because of that, I fought for it. Once I saw the doors were opening, I didn't let it go. I said, okay, well, if this is the last thing I'm going to do in my life, I'll do it and I'll finish it. So that's how it was a battle, but I'm grateful that I managed to finish it. I mean, listen, last year, the film was the most successful film of the year in Greece. It was a huge success in Greece. I mean, it beat all the studio movies. It was incredible. And it gained a distribution worldwide, which is really something that I wanted originally. That's why we did it in English and we had international cast. But no, of course, I couldn't have predicted that people like this film and to this degree. I'm talking about I'm not talking about filmmaking right now. I'm talking about that people have been moved. It looks like it with this film. That they was very. I've had people that, I mean, you're not going to believe this, but people that was a gentleman with Lou Gehrig disease who's seen a film once in Russia and he's in a hospital. He doesn't know if he's going to live. And he's saying, all I want to do is see this film again. I mean, I have stories like that, people telling me they didn't want to live anymore. They were contemplating ending their life. And after they saw the film, they decided to continue living. So this is what this film is doing. And that's why I'm like saying it's beyond, I think that's why I can't speak about filmmaking when I speak about this film. I hope you understand. Yes, I did it as a filmmaker. I did the best that I could, but it's just there was something special about this on a different level.
It touches lives because the story of it's a story of miracles. It's a story of persecution and persecution at the same time. Mm-hmm. And you made a comment. You say, I was connected to the film. Why were you so connected?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm Serbian, right? And I lived as an immigrant. I'm an American Serbian. I lived in the US for many years, a little more than 20 years. I actually lived more in the US than I did in Serbia. So, but I think faith has played a big part in my life. When I say faith, I don't only mean the fact that at this stage in my life, I am a church is playing a big role, but it's personal to me. I don't, it's not something that I advertise necessarily. My relationship with God is my relationship with God, and I believe everybody has to have that connection if they were going to get on that path. But the faith, in the sense that I was on my own since I was 16 years old. I was Yugoslavia was breaking apart at the time. I went to Milan to work as a model, then New York, and look my path. And then that wasn't easy, obviously, when you leave as an immigrant and you go to a different country and you're on your own, you don't have anybody. So that was exciting in one way, but also difficult on the other way. But I always had this faith, strong faith, that there was a purpose in what I was doing, and that somebody was watching over me. And no matter how difficult it was, I always had a positive outlook. And I mean, there were very difficult things. So number one, I can relate to that kind of faith on a personal level, where no matter what, I believe that things will turn out for the best. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, I don't want to talk about we all experience injustice and persecution one way or another in this lifetime. We all can relate to that subject. But what I've experienced that was very personal to me was my father he wasn't a man who was going to the church, but he was a very honorable and a righteous man who was a civil engineer, who was prosecuted because he was righteous, because he didn't want to do anything unethical to further his career. And because of his stance, he was taken out of the job. He was literally prosecuted and lived a very humble life until the end. A lot of people criticized him for that, including my nearest family, that maybe they felt that he should have sold out, given a little bit, life would have been easier for everybody around. But I respected him for this. So when he passed away, I wasn't able to go to his funeral. I was still dealing with the immigration status in the US. So a year later, I went to Belgrade for 1 year of his memorial. And then my status was resolved. I became a citizen and all that. But that's when I bought a book about Saint Nektarios, when I was there in Belgrade, because I heard about him. I figured, okay, I saw a book. I like reading about saints. I always feel it's very inspiring. For me, it's something that I like doing. And I thought it would be a good book to read. Well, when I read his story, because maybe of those couple of elements that I mentioned, it was almost as if somebody wrote it in my soul. Like I did not know what was happening. And I felt that because of the subject matter, because of this extreme personal connection to the story, number one, I felt because of the subject matter, I thought it would be a good movie to make. Nowadays, that it's a film that will speak to people regardless of their religious belief or ethnic background. That was number one. And number two, because I had this personal connection with the story, I felt that I was then able to do justice to the story, at least to my best of my ability, whatever that is. Let others talk about it. That's not my, I wouldn't even comment on that. So I knew that because of this personal connection with it, because I've studied acting and directing and writing at Playhouse West in Los Angeles. It's a very good school it's a method training. Mm-hmm. And we always focused on the truth. We understood that whether you want to give a good performance in the theater, or if you want to, or anywhere, or if you want to do anything, you have to be as truthful as possible to affect people, to make others feel something, to kind of project that on others, the truth. And that's how I approached the subject. And because of that, I was uncompromisingly truthful in a way I made this film. And I think that's why, and uncompromisingly personal, I put myself in it. And that's why I think the film has such effect on people. That's what...
it has your story there.
It has a show, yeah. So, vamos a dialmatάκι. Let's go for a quick break and we'll be back here on the Doralicious Show with Yelena Popovic, the woman behind Men of God. And we're back here with Yelena Popovic, director and writer of Men of God. So, apart from being such a successful film in Greece and world premiering last year, it's still playing in theaters right now as we speak worldwide. So, how did you accomplish that?
Well, I have to also thank my partner and husband, Alexandros Potter. He's worked very hard and he's done an incredible job with the distribution of the film and promotion of the film. But obviously, that what's incredible is that even though, like in the Western world, people don't know about Orthodoxy or Greek Orthodox saints or any of Orthodox saints, so it has a faith-based element which people can relate to, even in different parts of the world. But I think it's the story of the unjust prosecution and this incredible faith that this man had, and his incredible humility and ability to forgive and to move on, that speaks to people. So I think that's why it had spoken to different people. The reason I'm saying that, like, distributor in the US is not Greek. In Canada, these are people that in Australia they're really not familiar with the subject. So the story must have that universal quality, that because it's not when I say it's not him, it's not the story about him, but it must have been, he's obviously, I feel like I have a special blessing as well from him, that it must have been something that happened, because it's not, a lot of people would think it's not logical, but it has gotten exposure, and I think this is fantastic, because once it gets to be online on platforms and everywhere else, then when most people will be able to see it and access it, it will then reach everybody. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yelena, were you a little bit hesitant to make a religious movie, or your team, like how the audience is gonna take it? What is, if it's for a niche market, it's not for everyone. I don't know if you thought that it's not for everyone. It is for everyone, of course. It is for everyone.
I will say this on I think that especially nowadays, any stage of our lives, any stage in history, I think life without any faith is not a fulfilling life. And I think that I made a movie to give people courage, whatever they need in life, whatever to keep going, to understand that there is something that no matter how hard things are, that things do make sense at the end of the day, and that we have to have faith, we have to keep hope. We cannot just give up and fall apart. So I think that was my main. I wasn't trying to make a religious movie. Yes, it's a film that has a religious theme, and especially because of that, I was trying to make it as human as possible, because what is those are elements that when you start talking about spirituality, religiosity, you can't dramatize that. You cannot tackle that subject and make anybody relate to it if you're not making a good story that people can relate to on a personal note.
And it's also the fact that
go ahead, sorry.
It's very personable. Every person will see it in a different light based on their own faith. And I think that's the beauty of it. It means something else to someone else.
There are people that have no faith at all, atheists, that love this film. So you don't have to have faith to whatever you call. I don't think that there is such a person who doesn't have faith, because we all have faith in something. We wake up in the morning thinking we're going to make it across the street. So there is hope, there is faith. We don't just wake up and say, I'm going to be dead in 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So we whichever way we want to define that, we are believers. Otherwise, if we're complete unbelievers, then what's the point, right? So that's just up for debate. That's just my look on it. So that's why I don't even judge. I don't think of whether people, what do they believe in, what they don't believe in. I don't really care about that. That's I think freedom is very important thing, but the real freedom comes from within. The real freedom comes from how can I handle the pain in my life? How can I handle the injustice? How can I handle what life is going to bring to me, whether I like it or not? It's going to happen, and it's like if I live a life where if somebody says something great about me, I'm high and I'm happy, and then 5 minutes later somebody says something bad, I'm in hell and depression. I'm a slave. I'm not a free person. So who is free? So if people would like to discover what is freedom, maybe they should see my movie and see he was a free man, even though he was prosecuted, but he was free. He went to bed in peace. He was happy with very little. He was not enslaved by everything else around him.
Even if he's a prisoner, he was never enslaved.
Yeah, there you go. That's the real freedom.
Να πάμε εμείς ένα διαλυματάκι να συνεχίσουμε το Freedom Talk with Yelena Popovic. And I want to ask you when we come back, what has been the reaction of the Greek church? So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. So Yelena, what has been the reaction of the Greek church in regards to the film?
Well, can I give an intro into that? Because I just would like to express myself. I want to say something that a lot of people, because this film speaks about the prosecution within the church, right? That we know that. But what this film has a very strong anti-establishment tone. It's really so people that are within the church and they are living what they're preaching, they love the movie. Okay. I'm sure if there are people out there that, power and money is more important to them than love and sacrifice, I'm sure it might rub them the wrong way, because this is the film of the truth. So, but however, the church has been behind it in general, and it's been very supportive. So in general, I don't know, I couldn't say that the church wasn't against it in any shape or form. And I think that was very good, because it is a film about one of the most beloved Greek Orthodox saints. And I'm grateful for that. But I'm sure that on any note, doesn't matter if you're a member of the church or if you're indifferent, I think that this film, it's like there are a lot of reactions. There was a lot of strong reactions on both sides, whether people really either loved it or they really couldn't stand the fact that this film was made. And it's because it's uncovering a lot of things. It's basically, we're either going to be honest and straightforward, or we're going to live a life that pretending, that's that's basically what it is.
And I had the pleasure of seeing Aris Servetali last year in Greece, and he played Orestes at that point. It was a play, it was touring Greece. Did you know of Aris Servetali before, or how did you choose him?
That was another incredible story. By the way, I need to say, when you see the film tonight, I'll be curious, what you think about it. But I basically, Aris Servetalis, he's an incredible actor. I didn't know much about him before I came to Greece, but I was fortunate that I had met him and that people have suggested him. There was somebody else who was originally attached to play the lead in this movie. But I'm happy that at the end it had worked out that he had played the lead, because I can't even imagine anybody else now that it could have done a better job than him. I think this was another small miracle in this whole process, that he actually, that I had an opportunity to meet him and work with him, and that we worked together on this. He's just incredible actor, and he was really right for this part.
So what's next for you?
There are a couple of projects there's some projects that I've written before I made Man of God. There are a couple of projects that our company is producing. So what I'm interested, because we have a production company, it's Simeon Entertainment. So apart from having my own scripts that I have written, that some of them I'll direct maybe even there is a script that I would direct that it's not mine. It deals in domestic violence. It's called That Serious. But also there is a project called Lost Weekend, which is one day of John Lennon's escapade in Los Angeles. It's a comedy. It's a true story, but it's very well written. A gentleman, Ben Foster, has written it, and we're going to have a really fabulous director, and our company will produce it. So I'm excited to build my company and to direct films that I would like to direct, and let's see what comes my way. You know, I wrote a story about Greta Garbo as well. That was the one that was written before Men of God. I would love to direct that. So hopefully,
You're a busy woman.
Yeah. So.
And I guess you travel a lot, right? Your base is in Greece right now, but you are willing to go anywhere, I guess, to film the movies and everything.
Yes, well, we are based in Greece, but I go back and forth between Greece and the U.S. in general. Our company is an American company, and we work a lot with the United States. So that's our that's the
your approach.
Yes.
Yeah, what we were doing, but I'm like a little bit like when I'm thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow. I really, after this, I have learned, one thing I've learned is to kind of not plan too much and to let go a little bit and work hard. Obviously, we got to work hard,
Of course,
especially if we believe in something, but just kind of go with the flow, because sometimes we look at me. If somebody would have told me 10 years ago, you're going to go to Greece one day and you're going to make a film about the Greek Orthodox saint, and that's going to be the film that you will actually, it will open the doors for you, I would be like,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
But life is unpredictable.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
more to come.
But that's the beauty, I think. I think if we knew exactly what was going to come, or if it was going to be exactly the way we have it, then maybe it wouldn't be as fun.
And Yelena, Irene and I were part of the organizing committee of Greek International Film Festival Toronto, which is now become Greek International Film Festival Tour. So we hope in the future to be hosting your movies on our festival as well.
Oh, it'll be my pleasure.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for opening your heart and sharing your story with us. And I always adore getting a glimpse behind the scenes of the movie and understanding why this movie was made. So thank you for that.
No, thank you for having me.
Have a good one.
Thank you.